Hey, look, man, I'm going to be starting a podcast 2 to 3 days after the game. Call it Leftovers. Because, sometimes a dub ain't a dub. Eagle Man 225 coming at you with another video. It's Eagle Man 225 coming at you with another video. It's Eagle Man 225 coming at you with another video. Hey, fly, Eagles, fly. Hey, yo, it's Eagle Man 225 coming at you with a video. It's the first Leftovers. We're going to talk about it. Watch the game Sunday, Atlanta. We already hearing it already, It's just Atlanta. That's the way I feel about it. 2 reasons why. First reason is I don't look at Jalen Hurts the same as everybody, as a lot of people started off looking at Jalen Hurts, even from last year. I thought once we drafted Jalen Hurts, which I thought was a very good pick, I kind of figured Carson Wentz was on his way out anyway, because he can't take no pressure sitting behind him. He can't have nobody sitting behind him. He don't want nobody sitting behind him. So I figured he was out. Second of all, I don't critique Jalen Hurts as some type of. I look at him as a quarterback, not no running gun. Being able to run and gun is a plus in my book, but I look at him as a quarterback, as like any other quarterback, any other good quarterback in the league. That's how I'm always gonna critique him, as long as he's playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's how I critique any quarterback that plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't give them no slack just because they play on the team. When you playing for Philly, you have to meet expectations. You have to pass the eye test. You gotta pass not just the eye test. You have to go out there and you gotta perform. You gotta do your job. You gotta dot your I's. You gotta cross all your T's. You have to. And that's whatever position you play. We don't just expect our running back just to go out there and to be able to just, pound the ball. You gotta block. You gotta catch. Sometimes you have to come out the backfield and line up as a receiver. That's what we expect as Philly fans, because you have to go out there and you got to go play football. We not like Giants fans. We not like any other fans in the league, for that matter. Sometimes in Philly, a dub ain't a dub. And what I mean by that is, just because we won the game doesn't necessarily mean that we liked it. Sometimes we win games and we don't like how we won. We don't. We're not satisfied. Because too much was left on the field. You see, let's take the Cowboys for example. They played a good game against Brady. A very good game. And what do the fans do? They go pat themselves on the back. Why? Oh, because we got in a shootout with Brady and almost won. They couldn't be Philly. You see, Philadelphia fans, if we got that close, and let's say we even won that game, we still wouldn't like the W. Even though we would have beaten Tom Brady, And it's just a what if scenario. Like, let's say we won by a field goal. We wouldn't accept it. You know why? Because in the fashion, if we had 4 turnovers, we'll be like, man, we were supposed to pulverize this team, man. They weren't even supposed to have a chance, man. We only turned the ball over 1 time, and we got 4 turnovers, and we only win by a field goal. That's not acceptable. Because as Philly fans, we don't accept things like that. We don't accept. Win or loss, we don't accept that. When you going out there, you gotta, like I say, you gotta do your job. You gotta do what you're supposed to do. So that's what we're gonna be talking about in most of these segments, is things that we need to really polish up on, because we want perfection in Philly. And people say, well, you can't be perfect, but yes, you can. Yeah, you can. Or you can strive to be perfect, to be better, because you're not going to have a perfect game all the time. Is there such thing as a perfect game? Yeah, it is, but you're not going to have it all the time. But that don't mean that you can't strive for it. So, that's one thing. All right. They're talking about Jalen has this it factor, right? He does. I'm going to tell you why. I'm not just going to tell you that he does. I'm going to tell you exactly why, or why I think he has the it factor. You see, going back to leaving some on the bone, you know what I mean? Like Carson year, where he had, 4,000 passing yards, no 500-yard receivers, right? It felt like still like a lot was left on the bone. A lot. And Jalen just, if you don't feel that, like when Jalen goes into a game, it doesn't look like a lot of this stuff is just happening because he's lucky, or he barely got by. And everything Jalen does, it looks like that's the way he wanted it to happen. In a sense, like it just looks clutch. Like you didn't feel that when Wentz was quarterback. At least I never felt that. I always felt like if Wentz got out of a sack, it was mostly because he was lucky, because he would duck underneath somebody. It'll make you just cringe sometimes watching him play. It would make you cringe. You'd be like, oh, well, dang, he slipped there. Man, that was close. Because you can't keep doing that type of stuff, and get away with it. And I think that's why he took a lot of sacks last year, is because, he really not built like that. He not built like that, but, he tries to make things happen, and most of the time they just don't happen. That 1 year where things did go his way, they went his way. But that's what I'm talking about. That was like one of them years where, you're striving for perfection. Not every game was perfect that Carson Wentz had, but he strived for it, and that's you got a real good year out of him. But then when your luck runs out, it runs out. Because he almost that's what Carson always looks like when he plays. He look like he's just lucky, not clutch. For some reason, I mean, sometimes it's hard to explain. I'm explaining it the best way I can. Carson doesn't have the it factor. We know that. Or if you really play ball and football, you could tell he didn't really have that it factor. He just didn't have it. You always had to talk yourself into, Carson Wentz. You had to always bring up old stats, and oh, he could do this and he could do that, and everything that you saying he could do, you kind of barely hanging on, and I don't know. I'm gonna get off of him because he's really not our quarterback no more. But I'm just saying what the difference is, with Jalen and Jalen having that it factor. It doesn't. I mean, even last year, it didn't look like things were, the things he was doing. It was because he was lucky. It looked like he knew what he was doing. Every move he knew what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. Like basically he's setting it up that way. He's patient. He's waiting for things. He's waiting for the right things to happen so he can do what he needs to do. And I think that's what the difference is, to be honest with you. I think that's what the difference is. He has the tools and the mechanics to do those things. And he does them very well. So let's get into the leftovers, though, I'm going to say it like this, man. I'm going to start with the offense. We're gonna start with, since we was talking about Jalen Hurts and him having that it factor, we're gonna start with him. I think he left a little bit on the bone. Not too much, but I think he left a little bit on the bone. And I think in some plays he said himself he wish he could have had back. And because he felt like he could have executed them a lot better than he did. And I feel the same way after watching the game. Because, at the end of the day, I'm going to look at it like this. I'm not going to say, oh, it was only Atlanta. Because, that's what everybody else is saying. Because they only saying it because, they're not giving us credit. I'm going to say it's only Atlanta because I expected this. I did expect a little more, though, because I had high expectations to begin with, I just thought maybe, he would have at least four or five touchdowns this game. And what I'm saying is I thought he would pass for 3 or 4 passing touchdowns, but I thought he would have more. I thought we would have more rushing touchdowns. I'm sorry. The video cut short. It's a little hot out here. My phone's running a little hot, so I'm just gonna pick back up where I left off. But I thought we would have a little bit more rushing touchdowns. I thought we would at least have 3, like I was saying earlier. I thought Jalen would at least rush for 1, maybe even 2, and I thought Sanders would get 1. I thought Gainwell would get 1 too, but I thought it would be more like a passing touchdown, maybe like a screen situation from the goal line, or him running the flat, or a curl route in the middle of the field. A real nice play. I thought that would happen. I didn't think he would get a rushing touchdown, but that's what I thought coming into the game. And I thought it was a little, well, I ain't gonna say I thought it was too much. I thought it would be a shootout, to be honest with you. And so I was anticipating us scoring at least, 40. That's what I thought coming into the game. Most of my friends thought I was crazy for that, but 32 wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It's close to 40. It's better than it being like something like 24 or something. And I'm talking about we're gonna score 40 points, but 30 is close enough. But like I said, I think he left a little bit of meat on the bone on that one. Tight ends. I think the tight ends played pretty average, to be honest with you. I thought between Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, it'll be a little bit more yards, I thought between those two, maybe we would get 120, 130 yards together, Maybe Goddard getting like 80 yards and Zach Ertz getting like, 40, another 40 or 50, And between them two, I was saying maybe they would get like, 2 touchdowns, whether it was Goddard scoring 2 or Goddard scoring 1 and Zach Ertz getting 1 as well. That's what I thought. All right, the running backs, I think definitely left a lot of meat on the bone. I think we should have rushed for more yards, saying that we had a better offensive line and the defensive line wasn't all lit. I think we should have got more rushing yards. But like I say, I'm not complaining about what we did get. I'm just saying, because this is the segment, the leftovers. And I think it was a lot left on the field. I mean, especially them fourth down runs, I think we should have swapped running backs on those plays. I think Sanders should have been the one going up the middle, and Gainwell should have been the one, like, on the outside run. So, but I can say this. Watching the fourth down conversions is not like watching Doug Peterson go for it on fourth down. I didn't have that factor of like what I was talking about earlier, of just something lucky happening, or like it was a play and you could tell, like, it's just, it'll work, like it's like a for show play or something like that. Like when Doug Peterson would go for it on fourth down, sometimes you would cringe. You'd be like, what are we doing? Why did he run that play? Man, we lucky we got the fourth down. If we didn't get it, we was like, why would he do that? It's 4th and 1, and he's throwing the ball. He's trying to get the ball 40 yards down the field, or 30 yards down the field, or 20 yards down the field. Or Carson was holding on to it too long. It was, I don't know. It didn't make me feel like that yesterday, though. Not yesterday, Sunday. It didn't make me feel like that when I was watching them go for it on fourth. It didn't feel weird. It was like, it was typical, basically. It was typical. It was a safe play to call. Whether you got it or not, you could be like, well, I understand why they tried to do that. That makes sense, That's all I can say about that. Now let's talk about the wide receivers and how the wide receivers did. It was a time where, during the game, where Jalen Hurts threw to Devontae Smith 3 times in a row, and I thought maybe they would continue to try to do this throughout the game, where you kind of just feeding Devontae. But I think it's a work in progress. But it would have been nice to see that. Especially while we was up, it would have been nice for them to to see, okay, what kind of chemistry can we build with these two together? It would have been nice to see that, maybe on the last drive or something like that. I know you just want the game to be over with, but I thought they should have tried to build a little bit more chemistry with them two together, because look like it's going to be something, and maybe I'm just anxious, but it just looked like if we would have done that game, I believe Devontae probably could have had more catches, probably more I believe he probably could have ended up with 10 or 11 catches after the game, maybe 100 plus yards and another touchdown. Another thing I didn't like was that it felt like they took Quez out the game too early. And what I mean when I say that is, because I know he wasn't physically out the game. It was like you did 3 plays with him, and then they didn't try to really focus on him anymore. I was like, okay, we're going to do these screens because, that's what Quez Watkins that's his killer, is that screen. And it's like, okay, well, now we got to watch out for the screen, and it opens up everything else. I understand that, but at the same time, you could have thrown some more of them screens, You could have thrown 3 more to him, and he could have finished with 6 for 60 as well, but or who knows, maybe he would have broke one of them to the house. But I feel like they should have did that more, especially that Atlanta was giving it up like that. Like, I believe they should have poured it on with that. The line played okay. The reason why I say play okay is because a lot of times Jalen, man, he's escaping in that pocket, man. So Lane Johnson kind of said this, during the off season about some of the blocking techniques that he'll be able to do now. Like, things will be a little bit more easier for him because of a quarterback like Jalen Hurts. Like, the defensive ends are playing more contained, so they're kind of easier to block. That they not just, okay, I'm just about to go get the quarterback, because Jalen, it's gonna be that quarterback where you're not gonna be able to just hey, go get him. It's not about to happen. And we seen that it was a play where I think it was either the safety or the or cornerback came in, and they thought they had him, but they didn't. Jalen he slipped it, and I think it's gonna be a lot of that going on this year with Jalen. And that's why I say, man, when he's slipping these defenders, it doesn't look like he's getting lucky getting away from these guys. It looks kind of like Lamar Jackson, like, hey, like you kind of feel like, hey, he's going to get away. Like, you would be more surprised that Jalen got sacked than him really slipping the defender. Which is, like I say, with some quarterbacks, it's vice versa. You know what I mean? Like, when you see a linebacker running there, it's like, oh, he about to get punished. But you don't feel that way. I don't feel that way when I watch Jalen. I didn't feel that way last year. I don't feel that way this year. When watching Jalen, I feel, hey, man, it's hot. That's all I can say, is hot. But yeah, I feel like he's supposed to get away from these defenders. But let's talk about the defense real quick, right? The defense. Man, the defensive line. It's kind of hard because they did end up with 3 sacks, but they left a lot on the bone. People feel like, even some Philly fans, because I watch a lot of content, man. Shout out to Lord Brunson. I watch him. I watch Philly 500. I watch Philly Mike. I watch I think there's, I watch Simone. I watch a few Philadelphia content creators. Shout out to them. But them the big ones. I feel like a lot of people watch them. So that shouldn't really be nothing. But a lot of people feel like we left a lot on that bone, though. Like, we left a lot of meat on that bone when it comes down to getting Matt Bryant down. I feel like we should have got him down a little bit more than what we did. But again, I'm not complaining about what they did do. It's just, I'd like to see more. I would have liked to have seen more, but we didn't. Let's talk about the linebackers. What the linebackers did. They had a lot of missed tackles at the beginning of the game. First quarter, then the second quarter, still a little here and there. But that second half, man, they was on it. Whatever. The thing I like about this, I love a bend but don't break defense. A bend but don't break defense is, I think, is always the way to go, because sometimes you see a team, they'll move the ball, but then they can't get it into the end zone, or you end up forcing a turnover. That's what usually happens with being a break defenses, and It looked like that's what kind of defense we're gonna have this year. Just from the just from looking at the first game. So, but I think we're gonna get better as we go along. I definitely think we're gonna get a lot better as we go along. Cornerbacks. They played average too. For that defense. I think they should have came up with at least 2 picks during that game. At least 2. But they didn't. And that's all fine and dandy. That on that first drive where I think it was Nelson or it might have been Slay. Somebody, dove and they had a potential interception. It would have been nice to have that because then the game would have been 3-32 instead of 6-32. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the results. They played average, but we gotta get some turnovers. The safeties, I don't really have nothing bad to say about the safeties. One good thing I can say about the defense that I did not expect that we have been seeing over the years is long plays. They did not give up one long. It didn't even look like they were gonna give up a play, and I like that. They didn't even look like. Listen to me. It didn't even look like they was gonna give up a long play. It don't even look like they had a chance for a long play, like a ball being thrown or a receiver potentially getting behind somebody. I know that's what Gannon teaches, and guess what? It didn't happen. Everything stayed in front of them, and that's pretty good. I like that they did that. So that's going to pretty much, wrap up everything with the leftovers. Now we move on to the 49ers, which I don't really think is going to even be a real test, to be honest with you. I don't think that's going to be a real test either. Win or loss, I don't think that's going to be the real test. I believe the real test is going to come week 3 when we play Dallas. Not because I believe Dallas not because I believe they got a great offense or anything like that. It's a division game. That's where it matters the most, I think, is like how well your quarterback can play in them division games. Because them division games, they be close, man, or they just be bad. I mean, like, it usually seems that's the way division games go. It's like they close, or it's one-sided the whole game. So we gotta see how Jalen does this year against the division. I think he's gonna do pretty good. I think so because, man, that boy is a master at reading the field and taking what the defense gives him. And Carson didn't do that. Enough about Carson. Jalen takes what the defense gives him. And that's what you want to do. That's what you have to do to win games. If you want to be in the double-digit wins, you have to take what the defense gives you.